Hello, everyone. My name is Craig White from Men Without Masks, and I'm very happy today because I'm joined by my friend and recent retreat participant, Mr. Phil Davies. Phil, it's really great to be with you. Phil had a hand operation yesterday, so I'm really pleased that he's still gracing us with his presence. And we're going to be exploring, Phil's journey really into Men Without Masks, why he chose Men Without Masks, his experience in the retreat that he did with us, and how he's been since the retreat, to give you an insight. Before we do that, Phil, could you just tell the audience just a little bit about who is Phil Davies?
Phil Davies, lovely to be here, Whitey. Pleasure. Thanks for asking me. Yeah, I might still have a little bit of the after effects of anaesthetic yesterday, so you might have to forgive some of my quirkiness today. But yeah, no, it's lovely to be here. I'm a Welshman, as you can see from one of my photos behind. Also, I'm an honorary Yorkshireman. Spend a lot of time in Leeds, but I've been in rugby for over 35 years as a player, and the last 20 years as a coach since the game's gone professional. And I've always been a big advocate of learning about myself. Very keen on putting that sort of philosophy over into my coaching as well, with a sort of a people first, development driven, and a sort of competition supported philosophy. So I've enjoyed learning, continuous learning, and that's the way I've sort of approached my coaching, a people first approach, and been a real advocate of learning over many years.
Thanks, Phil. Very humble, Phil. Phil's a legend of the game to everybody, and but he's also a very humble man. I love to be in his company. So, Phil, as you know, I've kind of been dangling the carrot for a number of years now around Men Without Masks and the benefits of the retreat, and I like to do that. The reason I like to do that is because when I have a connection with someone, I want to share that with them, because I know how much they would benefit from it, because I'm biased, but I know how powerful the retreat can be. And I always thought, Phil, that you wanted to come, but I don't know that you weren't making that commitment. And now you've made that commitment, which I'm so pleased about, and you felt it. But why did you choose to come on the retreat in the end? And what drew you to the retreat? What were you looking for, if you knew what you were looking for?
Is your persuasive nature like a dripping tap, Whitey, for a number of years? That was one reason. And my respect and my regard for you is unbounded, as you know. But we've worked together before, so we have a connection, which is great. But I think since I've started coaching in 1996, I've continued to coach to this present day, and during that period, everybody who watches sport or who's involved in sport realizes the ups and downs, and the keys to it is, you have good days and bad days, and try and treat them all the same. That keeps you sane during the periods of pressure, as you know, with international matches we've both been involved in as players and coaches over the years. It could be high pressure, and there's instant feedback. 1 week, if it says W, you're great. If it says the following week, if it says L, you're useless, which is, of course, not the case, but that's how people view it. And, we're a passionate country for sport. So over the years, I think I've been a very resilient character. I've shown a lot of courage in what I've done by continually falling off the bike, and it's as quickly as you get back on, as people say. But during the pandemic, or just before the pandemic, in November 2019, I'd come back from my 6th World Cup as a player and a coach. And I wanted to leave rugby for a while, just to reflect and to dig a bit deeper and to try to improve my self-awareness. Even more so, I've done a lot of diagnostics like Myers-Briggs and Gallup Strength Finder. I've spoken to a lot of people about mental skills. I've become an NLP coach. I've become a mental skills red to blue certified coach. But there were one or two little things deep down inside of me from my experiences of the past that they kept coming back every so often, and I couldn't sort of push through that next ceiling of development, if you like. So, you know, the Men Without Masks for me was an opportunity to do things I'd never done before, in terms of self-reflection, and really looking deep inside of me. And that's what, you know, my original thought process was after a reflection of 12 months during the COVID, during the pandemic. I think a lot of people reflected during that period, and I certainly did. And that's why I came on the course, just to look at how I can push through that next layer of interference, if you like, and go and grow again.
Okay, thanks, Phil. So that next layer of development, kind of shifting, moving away from interference. And you said something interesting there, because I think it's really significant. You said, you know, looking inside of yourself, because I know how wonderful your mind is, Phil. You've got a wonderful mind, and you know, your capacity to plan and strategize and put processes together. But one thing that really pleased me about you coming on the retreat is that, you know, you're such an avid learner, and you always will be, but you had 5 days of actually looking away, coming from the external, coming away from your wonderful mind, and looking in and almost getting into your body. You know, we often say, you know, we've got to get into our body, and we do that on the retreat. So how was that something you were looking for? Were you looking to kind of get it to your head and have a deeper connection with your body, or was that just a kind of byproduct of the experience of the retreat?
No, a bit of both. I was looking for it, and I certainly got it. I think, you know, I did a bit of work prior to the retreat with a gentleman we both know, called Dan Stanley, who I introduced Dan to you a few years ago, and he actually came on the retreat before I did. But I wanted to do some work prior to coming, and we put a title on it, From Confusion to Clarity. Because, as you say, the way I work, I'm very disciplined, I'm very adaptable, I'm very innovative in my thinking, and you know, I can put intensity to that as well at times when I need to. And I call it the die principle, being a Welshman. That David, a nickname for David in Wales is die. So I came up with that little bit of an acronym there. And when I came on the course, you know, I was pretty clear in what I wanted to try to achieve. And you know, with all the breath work, you know, I have a song get out of my head if I do feel. You know, I've learned with Dan about being able to change my state now when I feel a little bit confused or feel a bit that I'm overthinking, and I can do that because I have such a creative mind. And you know, the song getting out of my head is one good thing, or I'll focus on something external. If I'm driving the car, I might focus on something in the distance, a sign or something. And the breath work that we did on the course with you and with Matt really helped me as well. It certainly helped me in my operation yesterday. It was about following your breath and getting out of your head, following your breath in order to get into your body. So those are great triggers that I did in pre-course, pre-Men Without Masks, if you like. And then what we actually did on the course, the breath work, was a real light bulb moment, I must say. It was really beneficial. I remember after the second or third day, I think my diaphragm started to get a bit sore. And I asked Matt, I said, is this normal? And he said, yes, because of the way we're breathing, the deep breaths, the short breaths, the holding of the breaths, you know. So, yeah. It was excellent. It was really good.
Okay, so before the retreat, you know, you've made that commitment to yourself. You've come to the retreat, you know, you wanted to kind of peel back the layers, go to the next level, go deeper inside of yourself. And then, Phil, let's take ourselves back to the retreat itself. And, you know, you arrive in this wonderful building and check into your room, and then we all assemble in that big lounge, 25 of us, which includes the delegates and the facilitators, sat in a circle. Like, what was going through your mind at that point, Phil? It's not easy for men to come together. You know, we've been conditioned to compete with each other and to be wary of each other. And it's that tribal nature. We've all come from different tribes, and we're hardwired to protect ourselves. And what was going on for you in that first few minutes?
I was firstly, right, we talk a lot in sport about environments, don't we? You know, and how people create and set environments. And to be fair to you and you know, and Dave, Martin and Matt and Johnny, you know, the environment was incredible. You know, Broughton Hall Estate up in Skipton is just an incredible place. It's awe-inspiring. So first of all, you get into an awe-inspiring environment. You're sitting there with a group of blokes. I was so intrigued at looking at, I'm a big body language person. I like to look at, you know, what's the temperature in the room, you know, and the room was on fire, really. You could see a lot of blokes there who were, you know, there were a lot of people there thinking, right, what is this all about? And there was a lot of trepidation in the body language. But I felt quite relaxed and open, as you said a few times, stay open, you know, stay open to things, stay relaxed. And that's what I was. But, you know, the environment was fantastic. And I was very intrigued by the body language of others in relation to where I was. You know, I might have looked tense actually, but I didn't feel tense. I felt quite relaxed. And I remember you opening the first page on the flip chart and saying, you know, everything is welcome. And that was quite a profound 3 words for me. And then you started, you know, you went through that sort of list of trust, if you like. This is what you can do, you know, this is what's acceptable here, this is what's not acceptable. So early on, the environment was superbly set, not just with the ambience of the place we were staying, but just the room itself, you know, and everything was just spot on, and it went from there, really.
Thanks, mate. So Phil, kind of witnessing you moving through the retreat, you know, you seem to settle with each day a little bit deeper. It's almost as if the retreat was, well, like that in terms of your growth, but in terms of going deeper into yourself, it's almost as if you seem to go deeper with each day. And you know how important to me psychological safety is, and creating safety within the group for us all to flourish and be ourselves and express ourselves. It's what men crave, I believe. Now, for you, because it could be different for each man, for you, what elements of the retreat enabled you to, at some point, feel safe so that you could be yourself?
I think, again, I suppose I had an advantage of knowing you and talking to you, and, you know, knowing you for the last, I don't know, 15 years, whatever it is. And I think, you know, I felt that going there, that I was open-minded. And secondly, I knew that it would be that type of environment, knowing you like I do. But I was open for anything, really. But the other guys were there, were Dave, you know, Martin and Matt and Johnny doing his videography and stuff, were equally as open and sharing. So that psychological safety for me was there from the beginning. And then when I heard these guys speaking, I was thinking, wow, you know, what an incredible sharing of honesty and difficulty, and you just started to feel flipping heck, you know, you want to support these guys. And it was that, really, I think, open-mindedness, the environment, knowing you, but then seeing another 3 guys who were exactly the same as you. So strength in numbers there in terms of psychological safety, and then the honesty of the sharing of the groups, and then, you know, the archetypes as you were going along day by day was, and the yoga and the meditation and all those type of things we were doing. I just, you know, sometimes I hadn't worked at that type of intensity since I was in a scrum for Wales at times. But after it, you know, the levels of exertion at the time were incredible, but the ability to get out your mind into your body, and then when you stopped, you felt totally relaxed, which I found amazing. I found amazing, to be fair. So yeah, it was, all those things helped me. That psychological safety allowed everyone to be themselves, like peeling that onion, isn't it? Every day a layer came off, a layer came off. I think, you know, I think the diet and the diet idea, the vegetarian diet, the no stimulants, the no you know, what I mean by that is herbal teas, water, no phones for 5 days. You know, that digital detox. I think they all led to slowly but surely everybody. Well, I wouldn't say slowly but surely. Actually, I'd say it was more of a quick. It was more of a middle distance race than it wasn't a sprint. It wasn't a sprint. It wasn't a marathon, but it was more like a 400 or maybe an 800-meter race, if you like. So
we got safe very quickly, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did for sure. Yeah. And
there's so many factors we actually put into place to build the container of safety. A lot of different factors, but the more significant factor, after talking to many who've done the retreat around building safety, is actually seeing other men being so courageous, which indirectly gives each and every man permission to also be courageous. It seems like that is the most important factor surrounding psychological safety. Would you agree, Phil?
Yeah, I think, without a doubt. I wouldn't say, I was going to say I think so then. Not really, without a doubt it was, because everybody, you listen to guys and you're thinking, flipping heck. You listen to guys, you're thinking, wow, what an experience they've been. And then you're thinking, wow, what an experience I've had over time, you know? So you're there and you're thinking, firstly, it's two things came into my head, two words came into my head often: support of the people there, the guys, the men there, and gratitude of the life that sort of I've led, if you like, and the experiences I've gained, and my family and all that sort of stuff. So those are the two words. If I do underpin it, those are two words that were constantly coming out: support your brothers and gratitude for the experiences and the life you've had so far, and what's more to come.
So support, brotherhood, and gratitude.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. And Phil, it's a 5-day retreat. It's pretty intense. We believe in that kind of intense approach to really kind of shake things up and open up new pathways and get rid of the old and think about who we want to become and so on. And it takes a lot of deep work over 5 days. Like, tell us about your journey over those 5 days. Like, how was it for you? What shifted in you? How was the progression kind of moving through the retreat from day 1 into day 5 for you? What went on for you in your mind and in your body?
I just got more and more relaxed as we went on. But what I did like about the archetypes were, and a lot of people say, well, if you've got an ego, that's no good, leave it at the door and all this sort of business. But when you look at those archetypes, no, you need a mature ego. You don't need an inflated one or a deflated one. Inflated, if you're a king, for example, you can be a bit of a tyrant, or if you're deflated, you can sort of, you don't take responsibility and you have to as a leader. And then it was the shadow integration. So what I really liked was what the mature ego looked like in any one of the archetypes on any one day. And also then the shadow integration that could get you back on track if your ego is either getting into inflation or deflation. And that's what I really took out of it each day, was reading back. And as you know, I like to write a lot. I like to write notes and then reflect on them, because, if the German philosopher Ettinghausen, I think his name is, if you do something and then you revisit it 24 hours later, it tends to stick. It's a really good learning principle. And that's what I like to do every morning before I get up. I was reading some of the notes of the previous day. So it was enabling things to sink in. So I understood what a mature ego looked like. I understood then when it was a little bit inflated and deflated. And then I knew the shadow integrations to get you back into that mature ego. And when we were doing the exercises, I could really see when I had periods of inflated ego and deflated ego. And that really, really helped me. It really resonated with me, that process, in order to put, new tools, new frameworks in place to move forward. And I was really interested. And the more we did the meditation, I said to you once, and I was sitting on the floor, I thought it was on the start of the runway in Heathrow. I was so pumped up. I thought I had 2 jet engines in my chest and in my hands at the time. As you remember, after I said to Martin, who was doing the session, I said, is that normal? He said, yeah, it is. It's just
Yeah.
an incredible,
Yeah.
exhilarating experience. And then, you know, once I turned the jet engine off, as if I was on a lilo in the middle of Jamaica, drinking a, you know, cocktail or whatever, pina colada. So it's amazing. Highs
Yeah.
and
Yeah. So Phil, just for our viewers, you mentioned the archetypes, and it's nice to know that you resonated with that model. It gave you something to grasp, and it gave you something to study, and then you could learn about how they play out inside of yourself and in your life, in the way you behave. So that's really good to know. And just for our viewers, we use a very simple model, and it's a model of the 4 archetypes, and in each quarter there's an archetype, which another way of saying that is a part of ourselves, a part of our psyche, a part of our being. And in simple language, these archetypes are the lover, which is all about connection through feelings and removing boundaries. There's the warrior, that's about commitment and discipline and creating boundaries and really kind of getting shit done in the world. And then there's an energy of the magician, which is our curious part, the one that explores and wants to learn new things and multiple levels of intelligence and learns also by looking inwards. And then there's the king part of us, which is all about really creating order and clarity and knowing what's really important to us and what's worth creating a mission for and vision and a purpose. So the king is the, if you like, the manager, the magician's the kind of intelligence quarter, and the warrior is the operations department, and the lover is the kind of, if you like, enjoyment, playful, sensual part of us. And we look at each quarter, we look at signs of immaturity, signs of maturity, ways we could become more mature in the different quarters, how to put the pieces together. But yeah, it's interesting that you resonated with that, Phil. And you also mentioned the experience in the meditation class where I actually remember it, Phil, and I remember looking at your face afterwards, and it seemed like you had a haha moment, because I've experienced that before. And my judgment of what happened to you is you had a peak experience that transcended space and time. Would that be correct?
for sure. Without
And
the shadow of a doubt.
and there's a lot of those happen in the retreat, and those periods are significant, because what happens when we transcend the analytical mind and the thinking mind and we get into our bodies and we feel, we do connect with a space that there's no space and time. And that's significant because in those spaces, Phil, the brain reorganizes itself. And then following that, because of the reorganization, insights come, new ways of thinking. Oh man, I'm going to do that. I want to do that. I'd love to do that. And did that play out for you, Phil? Did that happen to you on retreat?
Yeah, it did. As I said earlier, the reason I mentioned the archetypes was like, I like structure. I like things to, I like point of references to plan, to learn, to plan, you know, to do and to learn, review and learn. So those are the, you know, that sort of plan, action, review, learn sort of cycle is how I like to work. And that's where it resonated for me so much. And every time I was thinking and going into different experiences, whatever they might be, I was just using that archetype each day. So when we're going into the meditation, like as you say, when I was sat there, I thought I was in a, you know, I thought I was at the start. The way I was explaining it to you and Martin was I was on the start of a runway at Terminal 5 in Heathrow. I was going. You know, I had so much power I felt in my chest and in my arms. You know, it felt like a bit of an out of body experience type of thing, you know. But I was to the exercises and totally getting out of your head and you know, through your breath and into your body. And I never experienced that before, because I'm constantly, I was constantly living in my mind. You know, my mind was like, you know, it was like a Formula One race. You know, I'd go from the Silverstone Grand Prix on a Monday, and I'd be still going, you know, I was in, you know, I'd be in Spain on a Tuesday, I'd be in Germany on a Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday, and so on and so forth. And it was flipping heck, it was tiring, man. It was really, and I've had periods of time where I've been out of my head, but not as consistently as I have been now over the last 12 months, and in particular since the retreat. I'm far more relaxed, far more confident, comfortable to express myself and not worry about what people might think, or I'm far more articulate in the way I speak. I still speak too much, but that's my enthusiasm. It gets better than me. But it's been a huge icing on the cake, shall we say, of what I've experienced. I baked my cake though, and I think the retreat has put some icing on it, to be fair.
Thanks, Phil. And Phil, you just mentioned, just want to go back, you just mentioned that whilst you've got a very creative brain, you mentioned that you'd spent too much time in your head, and you mentioned that you'd never felt, what it was like to actually be out of your head and into your body. And I want to zone in on that, because that's significant for a lot of men, Phil. We all hear terms, you gotta get out of your head, you're always in your head, get out of your head, feel more, you never express your emotions, get into your body. And a big part of the work that I do with my clients on a one-on small group is actually getting out of the head and into the body. And also in the retreat, we do a lot of weird and wonderful things, and there's different themes, and each day we talk about different topics. So there's lots of different things happening. However, generally, what we're really trying to do over the course is to drop men deeper and deeper and deeper into this incredible intelligence of the body, into the heart, into the gut, down, so that we reconnect with these disowned parts of ourselves. Because what can happen in life as we get older, especially from a young age, is we can shut off the body. The body is holding a lot of our memories and our traumas, and it becomes safer to be in the head. So going slowly and safely back into the body is part of our healing process. It's part of our reintegration of all patterns, and being okay with ourselves, and deeply and more centered in our body. So Phil, in terms of getting into your body, which is something that you have to feel, we can't theorize it, what worked for you, mate? Because we try a lot of things on the retreat, but what were the key components that worked for you to kind of get you into that, oh, wow, I'm in my body. Wow, I feel deeply relaxed here. This is wonderful. What worked for you, mate?
I think it's all of it. And it started with the breathing, right? It started with the breath work, for sure. Started with the breath work because I understood, apart from, as I said, I did that pre-course work about changing my state, but I was looking at objects, if you like, not, to get back in the moment. But so that's fine. So that was one opportunity, or put music on or whatever it is, and you get absorbed in the music, or you look for something, for a sign, so you divert your thinking. But what I liked about this was deeper again, because it was taking you out of your mind into your body, into your body with the breathing, the breath work. Follow your breath, get into your body, soft belly, that's it. So that really helped. And then all the others, the meditation we did helped, and the yoga that we did in terms of flexibility and movement. But I would go breath work, meditation, yoga, that in my priority order. Yeah. And when you get into your body, you start realizing, my shoulder's a bit tight, or I've got a bit of a niggling ache in my gut feel or something, or there's a bit of tension in my chest, or you start to realize there's tension in your body, and that might have been there for quite a number of years.
Of course.
And that's what I was able to, without massive effort, if you like, just knowing a few new skills, new tools, because you don't know what you don't know. When people say get out of their head, that's great. And when people say, come on, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Don't drop the ball. What a ridiculous thing to say. Well, if you say don't drop the ball, people are going to drop the bloody ball. If you don't think of pink elephants, the first thing you're going to do is think of pink elephants. So you've got to have the skills and the tools to be able to get out of your head, be more skillful, be more grounded. And that's the big thing for me, was the breathing. And And as I say, the meditation, the yoga, to get into your body. And then once you're in your body, you know, to make it more flexible, and you just become more thoughtful. And then the archetypes give you, what I liked about them, they were the learning platform. They allow you to go to another level because you've got more knowledge. So, you know, you're able to intrinsically become more thoughtful because you have these extra skills. And then when you get back into real life, you also have then a framework you can keep relating back to. Am I on track? Is my ego inflated or deflated? No, I'm on fire here. I feel good. I feel good. I feel good. And it's always about the why, the what, and the how, isn't it? And for me, the how is the big game changer, always, because that leads to behavior. Simple.
Yeah. So in terms of you kind of getting out of your head and waking up this intelligence of your body and feeling that and feeling deeply relaxed and having those moments where there was no time and no space and all that, it was the breath work, all the different meditations that we did, and the yoga, yeah,
and the music.
And just for some of our viewers that don't know much about our retreat, you know, there's so much movement within our retreat. You know, there are elements of yoga that we use, elements of traditional yoga, but it's beyond that, and we like to call it embodiment. You know, it's linear movements, it's non-linear movements, it's different postures. It's sometimes we shake, sometimes we let the body flow as it like to do. Sometimes we explore dance, and it's that movement. And for many men, it's going into those spaces where we don't normally go into that really opens up kind of stuck energies and dormant parts of ourselves, and also opens up new neuronal circuits within the brain. And when that happens, we can let go of old circuits and old thinking patterns, and, if you like, re-identify who we are and re-identify where we're going and why we want to get there. So thanks for sharing that, Phil. So Phil, you've been on a retreat, you know, and okay, you're out your head, you're in the body, you've got insights, you feel more relaxed, you're supported, you know, there's a sense of brotherhood and all that, fine. But what we really care about at Men Without Masks is, like, how have you transitioned, and what are the benefits now in your life? So I guess my next question to you, Phil, is, you know, what did you take away from the retreat for Phil, and how have the last few weeks been for Phil in his mindset, in his health, in his relationship to his wife and kids and his colleagues? How's that been, Phil? And what does the future look like for you?
It's been different. My family have certainly seen a difference, seen a change in me in terms of, I was always very tentative with my daughter. I got two daughters, a granddaughter. I've been married 35 years this coming August. So, you know, they know me pretty well. So they were a little bit apprehensive, actually, in some ways. But, you know, we've talked a lot, my wife and I, about what happened on the retreat and the type of things we did to an extent in terms of helping me. And they've seen a calmer, maybe. I've always been thoughtful, but maybe more thoughtful in not so much in everyday things, because I think I'm a very loving father and husband, but more thoughtful and more patient in other ways. You know, I could always try and chase the outcome, deliver the process, but become pretty impatient at times within the process if I didn't feel we were getting to the outcome. So it's really those type of things have changed. Some of my colleagues have noticed a difference in terms of, you know, yeah, okay, if it doesn't happen today, it's got to happen tomorrow. Or far more clearer, far more clarity and transparency, and be more engaged with people, and also more sort of loving, if you like, to other people, or pay more interest to certain other people that I meet. I remember having a conversation with a guy. I went for a walk when I was in Leeds when I came back, and he was an elderly gentleman taking his bin in, but he'd obviously had a foot operation, so he had a sort of a bit of a cast on his foot, you know, the moon boot stuff. So I just asked him, I said, how's you going? Mr. Burridge, his name was. I never met him before in my life. So he told me who he was, and we just chatted, and he just poured out this 80-month story to a total stranger, of what had happened to him, and they'd found other problems, and they'd found this and that. So it was at times, you know, previously I might not have done it. I've been very polite and walk past, but to give him the time of day, I could see he wanted to tell somebody of his journey, and I just listened to him, and off I went after, and I felt good about it, and hopefully so did he, you know. But it's something I don't really do with people I don't really know. And it was just, you know, it was just a passing comment in the street, but that was, it just, as you said, be open. And that's what I've tended to be since I've come back, really. And being able to be, somebody who said to me once, Phil, it's all about being yourself with skill. And I think because I've maybe, you know, I've learned more and more skills from, you know, out of the retreat, from the retreat. I think that's enabled me to be more open, more transparent with people, and really saying what I feel I should be saying. And it's about imparting knowledge now rather than obtaining it. I think I've obtained quite a lot, and I keep it inside me, and I don't impart it very well because there's that humbleness or that Welshness of, you know, don't get too big for your boots, or you don't know too much, that sort of stuff. So it's really helped me make it a right balance on my communication skills and my ability to get into my body, really, and just generally feel more relaxed.
Yeah, thanks.
Connected.
Just one question has just come up, Phil. I wasn't going to ask you it, but I feel like I want to ask you it. So as a leader, you know, you've led groups of men for years, you know, that leader. And sometimes as a leader, I know that it can be a lonely place, and you see others, and with your presence, arguably, you know, you support and challenge, and you bless others. You're a father towards others, but you're not always seeing yourself. Now, on the retreat, I know that you were fully seen by all those men. They saw you. They didn't judge you. They accepted you for who they are. They saw some of your magnificence. They saw some of your darkness. They saw Phil. Now, how was that for you, Phil? Because that must have been unusual for you to experience that.
There's 2 points there, mate. I'll answer your question first. I'll finish with something I've learned on where my philosophy has not served me as Phil, if you like. When we did the final day thing, I was sat there, and a bit of my old Phil was creeping in. I thought, oh, nobody will have anything to say about me or anything good to say about me. They'll have plenty to say about my faults, type of thing, you know. And I got quite emotional, as you know. So did you, actually. As you said, after that moved me, because we'd known each other so well for so many years. That moved me more maybe than a lot of things did, because of your reaction, not so much mine, because I felt very emotional when they were giving me the feedback, and I just couldn't, you know, the constructive feedback was good. Somebody said, what are you effing trying to prove all the time? And I thought, you know what, that was good advice. And as you said, you know, to articulate and to portray, you know, what you can share with the world, really. And that's where I took that out. You know, I'm not sharing my skills with the world enough, and I've been doing so since we finished, or I wasn't anyway. So that, and the feedback was bizarre. As you know, it was very emotional. I couldn't, you know, there were people speaking quite highly of me and respectfully of me, and I didn't used to speak to myself like that. That was one of my biggest problems. So that was really emotional. And the other point, mine was always people-centered or people first. That's my leading philosophy. But I'd forgot to be Phil first or Phil-centered. And that's changed as well. And it's changed even more so since the retreat, because of those skills that I've learned. Because I know if I'm at my best, other people are going to benefit from that. And my purpose is all about making a difference in the world. And I love seeing people succeed, particularly young people in sport. I love giving young players opportunities. I have for 20 odd years, and players that have gone on to play for their countries, coach their countries even. So, you know, I just forgot about that bit, mate. I forgot about the Phil bit. And the retreat, a little bit of work I did prior, but mainly the retreat has helped me get inside myself in order to change my state and have new skills in order to be totally Phil-centered, which then the knock-on effect then is everybody else. I make a difference and everybody else benefits from my experience, and I benefit from others more because I'm more present, you know, I'm more connected.
Great. Very well said, mate. So Phil, before we wrap up, just one final question. What message would you give to any man that is looking at our work, is thinking about coming and joining us, is thinking about coming on a retreat, and then the voice kicks in the head, well, is this for you? Do you really need it? Maybe not this time. Is it a cult? You know, so it's like, what message would you have to a man that's thinking or has an initial urge to come on retreat, but hasn't committed yet?
I think I was just thinking of an analogy. If you think of a pinball machine, right? You know, a pinball wizard, right? If you think of a pinball machine, you're going all over the place. Now and again, you score and you get another one and you go again. But a lot of the time, you've got to go up, down, all around before you get in the goals, if you like, right? Before you score on a pinball machine. And that is, if you feel like that in your life, that you're pushing forward, yeah, you're getting some wins, but then you may be winning once, but then you lose, you know, you're losing 2 or 3 times, or you're not gaining the experiences you want. Maybe getting 1 out of 5 or 2 out of 5 is go on the retreat, because then you'll get 5 out of 5. You know, you'll get 5 out of 5 or 4 out of 5. You'll start to get somewhere near your potential because of the skills that you learn on the retreat and the things that you do when you take away. It's not just about, let's go over 5 days and have a vegetarian diet and have unbounded energy and don't drink any stimulants, have a total tech detox, and then you come back and everything's the same again. No, it's not like that. The tools that you learn through the archetypes, the meditation, the breathing, the yoga will be able to carry forward and make a huge difference in your life.
Yeah.
And you've got to keep going. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's not going to change. You know, it's not about changing on day 6. It's about continuing. What you do in days 1 to 5 is continuing in day 6, 7, 8, 9, da-da-di-da-di-da, and for the rest of your life, really. It's about habit forming. It's about having a lifestyle that you can make a difference.
Yeah. And Phil, as part of your continuation of your journey, you're going to be joining us in August on our 28-day Embodiment Program, which is something that we offer to men that have completed the retreat. And it's 28 days where we meet for 90 minutes every morning at 6 a.m. to really win the day and make a statement to ourselves and continue to change those patterns and let go of the old and, you know, rewrite the new. So Phil, I'm really looking forward to seeing you on that in August. And I'd like to thank you for your time this morning, Phil. It's been wonderful. It's gone really, really quick. Look forward to seeing you soon and supporting you soon. And just for our viewers watching this, if you resonate with the work that we do, if you want to check us out, you can check out our website, menwithoutmasks.com. We have a YouTube channel, and you can find Men Without Masks on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. But from me and Phil, have a wonderful day. Aho.
Aho.